adventure groupies. What does these items on this table present for today's challenge? Anybody? Anybody? Take a guess. We're going to do an oil change on Frankie. And these are the items that you can do on your own, or you can take it and have it serviced. Frankie needs 0W20 oil. That's what's in the handbook. Also, the oil filter is an Purelator L36296, which you may want to use a Fram or whatever. I'm just choosing a Purelator. This is the cabin filter. It's a CAF 90131P. And then you have the air filter, which is a SA11950. And then of course you need a pan to catch your oil in. You'll need a rag and a 13 millimeter wrench to take the oil or the drain plug out. You may ask, why am I doing my own oil change and not taking it to the shop? That's a great question. The reason I do my own oil change is I have a spreadsheet that I keep, and I monitor how many quarts of oil comes out of the crankcase. So if I'm putting 5 quarts in and I'm bringing 5 quarts out of this thing, because there's a drain plug on the back side here that I can drain back into the plastic container, or plastic jug. If I get 5 quarts out, then I know I'm not burning oil. However, over time, you definitely will be burning oil, but I would like to monitor how much oil I do burn. So this gives me an indication of if my oil is being consumed or if everything's okay. Also, I've taken my car to these oil change spots, and they have stripped out the oil pan bolt, and it's just a pain in the butt to repair. So I do my own repair. You can do whatever you want. This is what I do. In regards to the oil, I'm using Castrol. You may use a different brand. That's up to you. This is what I'm using for my oil change. When I pour the used oil back into this container, there are measurement indicators here on the side to tell you how many quarts are in there. So this gives me an indication pretty quick if I'm pulling 5 quarts out or if I'm pulling less than 5 quarts. When I change the oil on Frankie, I try to do it around 5,000 miles. Right now the mileage is around 4,300, so it's close to 5,000, but around 5,000, could be as much as 6,000. That's just me. You may want to do it sooner than that. Some people might want to do it at 3,000 miles. Some people might want to do 10,000 miles. I just choose to be around 5,000 miles. Time to do the oil change. Free, are you ready for an oil change? Let's pop the hood. Hood is popped open. Let's get the latch. And we put the stick up right there. As we can see, this is a great seal for water. Oh well, it is what it is. But we are gonna get in there and get this oil changed. I'm gonna use the 13 millimeter wrench to crack the drain plug open. And once I've got it loose, I move my pan into place. Comes the oil. And I'm using a rag to clean off the bolt. I also took the cap off of the oil filler cap up on top of the engine, so this way air can just allow this oil to flow naturally, fast. And your drain plug has a rubber gasket on it. Just inspect it, make sure it looks good. And once that's done pouring out, we'll put the plug back in, and then we'll put in the new oil. For those who might be wondering what angle this filler tube or drain tube is on this coach, that's from the front of the coach to where the drain area is. Now with it dripping like that, that's good enough for me. I'm going to go ahead and put the plug back in. And then wipe off the residue. Move the pan over. And then just tighten it back on again. Just like that, snug. And we're good to go down here. Right behind the oil filler cap, you'll see another cap right below there. That's where the oil filter is at, and that's where we're going to put a wrench on and take that plastic cap off to put the oil filter in. To take the cap off of the oil filter, you will need a 24 millimeter socket. I've got a swivel on there. I put a rag there in place so I could loosen the cap off, because the residual oil that's going to come off will drip on this rag. And there's your oil filter. With the box, with the new filter, you want to make sure you have a new filter and you have a new O-ring before you take the O-ring off the old filter. You just pull and the old filter comes off. And I just use a screwdriver. And I just pull the old O-ring off. Get the new O-ring, a little oil on there, on the O-ring, and then I just place the O-ring right in its spot, in its groove. Take the new filter, pop it in. And we're ready to pop this filter back into the vehicle. Now we just do the opposite of how we pulled it out. Stick it back in that hole back there. And screw it down by hand first. Make sure we don't bind it. And once it's snug, we get the wrench out and we just tighten it with the wrench. That's all you need to do. It is tight on there. Alright, I have my funnel in place. Squished it in the area. And I will take and put 6 quarts of oil in here. And each of these jugs contain 5 quarts. So we'll go with the first one first and empty it completely. There's 5 quarts, and on the jug on the side here it has graduation marks to tell you how many quarts there is. So now this thing's going to take 6 quarts. I'm going to pour a quart from the other jug into there and just look at my eye on that scale on the side of the bottle. Pretty close, just a little tad more. there we go. We got our 4 quarts in there. Clean this area off. Pull out the funnel. Oil's so clean it's hard to see where the mark is. It's right on the mark. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it is right there. It's clean on the mark. There we go. You did a great job. You can do a great job on this yourself too. Don't underestimate yourself. And if you're also wondering what kind of oil should be used, it has on the filler tube right there, 0W20. All right, for those people that don't want to crawl underneath the car to change the oil, get your hands dirty and whatever, I have another device. It's called the extractor. Yes, the fluid extractor is designed so that it has the tubing that will actually go down into the hole of the dipstick. And if you take a look here, the dipstick gets pulled out. And the tube goes down into the dipstick. And then once it's in the dipstick to the bottom of the pan, you just take this handle and pump back and forth, and there'll be enough air created, suction created, that will pull the oil from the pan, the oil pan, into this reservoir. And the reservoir does have measuring indicators on there to tell you how many quarts you've pulled out of the engine. I have a short video from ProMaster Vans to show you how this extractor tube works and how it gets into the bottom of the crankcase. So again, for those who don't want to get their fingers dirty or hands dirty, this is the greatest way to pull the oil out of your van and change your oil filter on top. I will also leave a picture showing where I picked this up from Amazon if you're interested in getting one. The following video excerpt is from a YouTube channel called ProMasters Only. And in this YouTube video, he shows how the extractor tube goes through the oil dipstick tube down into the crankcase pan. And you can see that the plastic tube actually goes further down than the drain plug on the side of the pan. So for those that are kind of hesitant if an extractor would work, here is just showing what the extractor tube does, and you do get lower into the pan and get a little bit more oil out from the pan.
All right, so the argument is always about oil changes, and I do not slide under and remove the drain plug, and I'm going to show you why. I use an extractor, either that one or an electric one I built that runs off the battery that sucks the oil out the dipstick tube. This is the pan from a 3.6 liter Pentastar mated to the dipstick for a ProMaster. If you look down in your oil pan, in your Pentastar, that is the oil drain plug. Now what do you notice about that oil drain plug? See how high the plug is when it would be removed, how high it is above the surface of the oil at the bottom of the pan? Well, when you extract, you're coming out of the bottom of this tube into the base of the pan. That means you're leaving, by using a gravity drain, that's close to a ½ an inch between where the oil level would need to be on level ground to start coming out the drain and where it's actually at the bottom of the pan. So you see, this is the thing that goes on the thing, and it comes down. Watch what it do. And there you at the mark?
There's the mark? Okay. Right there. Yeah.
Look at that, kids. Right at the bottom of the pan.
To get to your cabin filter, there are screws right here in the back. that you're going to have to loosen to get the cabin filter dropped down. So let me go ahead and loosen those bolts. Most awkward spot for the bolts, for the screws. But when this trap door comes down, and the filter pulls out, and you can inspect the filter, and it does not look bad. So we're not going to go ahead and replace the filter. We'll go ahead and look inside there, brush out anything else that might be in the way, and then we'll go ahead and put that filter right back up in there and tighten those screws. So that's how you get to the cabin filter area. We're going to leave that one in. It's still in good shape. Since I only have 4,500 miles on this vehicle, I did not drive it in dusty climate areas. This tube right here goes to your large air filter that's down there. There are screws around that filter barrel that you're going to have to loosen. And I'm not doing that because then it's just a pain in the butt for me to get it back in. But I'm going to give you a view. There's a screw right there. So what they want you to do is loosen this hose clamp here. This coupling will come off. And then this hose clamp that's down here also comes off. And then you can get to all the screws around the top of this air filter and then pop out the air filter. So that's how you would change out your air filter. But I'm not doing that. I might do that in about 10,000 miles, but not 4,500 miles. To reset the oil indicator, even though it hasn't shown up yet on my ProMaster, it says to just turn the ignition switch on, but don't start the engine. So just press the button without the foot on the pedal. And then it says to slowly depress the accelerator 3 times within 10 seconds, and it will reset the oil indicator. So turn on the ignition without turning over the engine, and then just press the pedal, the gas pedal, 3 times down within a 10-second increment, and it will reset the indicator back to 100%, I guess, and then it'll monitor from there. Thank you again for tuning in, Adventure Groupies. I hope this video helped. And if you have any questions, please send me your comments.